What's up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about Kail Lowry's video that she just posted to her Instagram page. She just had a surgery. Listen, I thought she had only gotten a breast reduction surgery, but it turns out that in addition to the breast reduction, she got liposuction, lipo 360, so the front and the back, and a tummy tuck. Mind you, she had already gotten lipo 360 and a tummy tuck in the past after having had Lincoln. But then what did she do after that? She immediately got pregnant with Lux. Then there was Creed. Then there were 3 more of them. And now here she is back to say, okay, I'm done for good. Let's go back and re-put everything back together. And she's going to talk about why she made that decision and how devastated she is about the role that body dysmorphia plays in her life. So let's take a look at it, and then we'll discuss it all together afterwards. Okay, you guys? So please be aware this could be triggering to some of you because listen, at the end of the day, a lot of y'all who watch me are 90s babies like Kail and I. And listen, if you're a woman from the 90s, you know, even the 80s babies, you know, the standard of beauty was stick thin, right? Like the magazines, everything was, it was always drilled into us that you have to be stick thin. So I feel like a lot of us can empathize with her in this regard. And I think even those of you who might be younger, older, I think stick thin has always been the thing. For a while it was like curvy, but it was never, you know, full blown plus size, really. You know, like when people talk about curvy, they're talking about like Beyonce and Kim K, who are still what, like size 6, size 8, size 10 maximum. So let's take a look and then talk about, you know, how this might be something that we could potentially relate to.
Is the first time I'm doing makeup since I had surgery, and I'm finally able to shower without help. I'm able to walk around without help, standing mostly up straight. I feel good most of the day, but I still get really, really tired about halfway through the day. I had a very, very emotional morning, mainly just when I was taking a shower. I pray that my kids never struggle with their body images enough to mutilate their bodies to be skinny. You know, I think a little nip and tuck in terms of, you know, a nose job or like a boob job is okay, but to go through this, be skinny, is mental illness, truly. And I say that with the most respect to anyone going through it. I'm struggling this time around. I don't know if it's because I have a daughter now. Not just my daughter, like my sons too, right? Like I don't ever want them to experience this level of this body dysmorphia. Like I was basically willing to go to any length and do this over Christmas break to be skinny, even if that meant that Elijah couldn't be there for me, even if that meant that I was, you know, in another state for Christmas, even like I was willing to go to any freaking length for it. And I don't think that's something that people talk about, right? Like I was going for a breast reduction and then I was like, oh, you know what? I should just add some lipo 360, add some tummy tuck, and, you know, my scars were fine. My old tummy tuck scar and my C-section scar were fine. And I realized like I shouldn't have put Elijah through all of this, you know, because he couldn't be there for the whole time with me. And it was crazy. This is rough. I'm struggling. I'm gonna stop crying and I'm gonna suck it up for the rest of the day. Think once, think twice before you get plastic surgery. And I hope everyone has a happy new year.
So there you go. The plastic surgery journey that Kail is on, the body dysmorphia that she is battling and everything like that, and how she hates that this voice in her head has convinced her that she has to do all of these things to herself. And like she says, she's been mutilating herself. She's been chopping and screwing herself since 2016, right? With the first round of all of this stuff. And in addition to the prior breast reduction, lipo 360, tummy tuck, BBL. Isn't it crazy that she did everything? Like she had the boob job with Dr. Miami as well. This time, the only thing she didn't do the same was the butt. She says all of this is because in her mind, she has to be skinny. This, like, you know, this is going to help her towards that goal. Listen, again, I think it's she's a product of the times, right? When she was growing up, she's in the same kind of age range as I am in. There was a lot of hardcore messaging about having to be skinny. So like there is always this thing in your mind pushing you to stay as thin as possible. So I feel like this is something that I personally deal with as well. And this is how I live my life, not only like in wanting to be thin, but in wanting to be healthy. You know, I work out 5-6 times a week because I love the feeling and I want to be healthy and I want to have a lot of mobility. This is why I do things like reformer Pilates and mat Pilates, because, you know, not only are you kind of toning your muscles in your body, but you're also doing some stretching and it helps for your mind and like just peace and stuff like that. So I get it. I get it. There is always that voice in your mind and you're always convincing yourselves. How many of you can relate to having an era in your life? And I feel like, you know, for me, in my case anyway, this is always, no matter how thin I am, I will always feel like I'm not thin enough. But then when I look back at photos from myself, like a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and I see just how tiny I was, I'm like, oh my God, how is it that like I couldn't process it. I didn't understand it, you know, or when you share pics with people, or when, you know, people come up to you and they compliment you on how you look or your physique or whatever. And you're like, why am I not seeing what these people are seeing? You know what I mean? So, you know, just based off of having those own thoughts on my own, I feel like I can relate to what it is that Kail is saying. And I think that it's one of those situations where even if you don't necessarily like the girl, I feel like we can, most of us anyway, maybe not all of us, but I feel like most of us, or a lot of us, can admit to having similar thoughts. Maybe we're not going and doing 2 boob jobs, 2 lipos, 2 tummy tucks, and all this stuff. Maybe we're not doing all these things, but we can still nonetheless relate to feeling this way. But here's one thing I have to say, and I hope that it's not sounding like, I don't know, I hope it's not sounding shady, but this is something, and if you guys watch my Teen Mom recaps, then you know I say this all the time. The way that all of these people eat, like, it kind of scares me, because these people are all, including Kail, they're all constantly eating fast food, fried food, junk food. They're drinking a day's worth of calories in these giant, listen, I have a big gulp, but it's for water. This is my big gulp. And this is not even the size of like the sodas that the people are drinking on this thing, right? Or the size of the Starbucks, whatever sugary whipped cream garbage they're drinking. Like, they do not feed their bodies properly. They do not eat nutrients. They eat garbage. You know what I mean? So to me, if you really feel this way about like wanting to be thin or this or that, I feel like your actions need to align with it a little bit more. Lipo alone does not make you thin, right? We already saw that in Kail, and then we see that in Brianna and Brittany, for example. They had the same lipo BBL boob job stuff that Kail had, and look at how they turned out. You know, it's kind of more of a thing to get your stomach flat, but even then your stomach can go back to having shape to it if you do not eat properly. You have to eat properly, you have to exercise, you know, and this is not just aesthetic stuff. Like, this is for living well, you know, for staying healthy. So, you know, again, not to chastise her, but I think that it's kind of dangerous messaging to put out there that lipo is what makes people thin, when that is not at all the case. But anyway, listen, that is way besides the point. I just want to say, listen, Kail, I can totally empathize with what it is that you were saying, what it is that you are going through. Unfortunately for us as women, there is a very high bar of what beauty is. And unfortunately, that standard has been pretty much my entire life anyway, has always been some variation of thin. Maybe thin with some hips here and there, but it's always been thin as the gold standard. So I do understand why you feel so much pressure to live up to that. And I do understand you feeling the guilt of having this surgery while all of your kids are out celebrating the holidays with their respective fathers, and while your partner is out, you know, with your kids as well, celebrating the holidays with his family, and you're just like all alone because you felt like you had to do this to yourself. Like, I feel like that's really dark. It really is. But hopefully now that you've done this for the second time, you're going to take your nutrition seriously and you're going to eat properly. Hopefully you're not going to drink these giant sugary whatever nonsense things you keep buying from Starbucks. And hopefully you find the time to, you know, move a little bit more. You know, exercising doesn't even have to be going to the gym, right? And this is the thing for you guys, honestly. I'm not my Canadian friends, but yeah, my Canadian friends, my American friends, honestly, I feel like for you guys, it is so much harder to stay in shape because your cities are just not made for walking. You know, for you guys to even go to your gym, typically you've got to drive to get there, right? To go to this place, that place, you gotta drive. Whereas for us, we walk or bike. You know, if I want to go to my doctor, I walk or bike. If I want to go to my dentist, if I want to go to the post office, if I want to do my groceries, if I want to do anything, pretty much, I walk or bike. You know, even if I've got to take the metro to get somewhere, I have to walk to the metro station, walk through the metro station, walk out, all that stuff. You know, there's a lot of movement involved here. And so, you know, I think that that's the thing for us here. You know why it makes it so much easier. Anyway, I didn't want to preach in this video. I just wanted to say that, yeah, I totally understand where Kail is coming from. And I wish her luck. And I really hope that this latest round of plastic surgery helps her feel like good in her own skin. But to be honest, I don't think that it will, because at the end of the day, this is a problem that is all in your head. How many beautiful, thin girls do you know who do not feel like they're beautiful and who do not feel like they're thin, right? It's just, it's something, you know, you can tell them a million times, a million billion times, and they won't, it does not sink in, because at the end of the day, that is a battle between their mind. You know, that's a battle that they've got to fight in there. And, you know, perhaps with all that therapy that Kail does, maybe she could be referred out to a therapist who specializes in body dysmorphia in order to help her accept, understand, and come to terms with her body. And I hope she could be really kind to herself and easy on herself, because the girl's been pregnant her entire adult life. And when you're pregnant that many times, it's only natural that you gain and you retain a lot of weight, right? Especially she just had twins too. Like, it's okay, girls, slow down. It's all fine, you know? Anyway, good luck, Kail. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Can you empathize with Kail's struggles with body dysmorphia, or is it kind of a whatever situation to you? I want to hear all your thoughts in the comment section, and we'll talk soon. See you in my next video, guys. Bye.